Welcome, everyone, to Game Over Vancouver, following what I think could be categorized as a frustrating loss for the Canucks against the Nashville Predators in Game 2 of this Western Conference series. We'll break down what went wrong, which actually wasn't a ton, what went right, which also wasn't a ton, and what can be done in the following games as the series is now tied at 1. We will get to all of that in just a moment.
Game Over Vancouver is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but starting in October, the network launches for real, which means for all of your Vancouver Canucks content, you want to go check out the Game Over Vancouver channel. You can subscribe right now by opening up the Game Over Network channel from this video in a new tab, scroll down past my ugly mug, click on the Game Over Vancouver YouTube page, then click subscribe and click that reminder bell as well so you don't miss when we post a video or go live. Tell all your Canucks fans, friends, and family to come join our awesome community. You really won't regret it. And for this video, make sure you smash that like button right into oblivion.
All right, so yes, as you can note, I was none of the people who were just zoomed in on. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I know that if you're familiar with Game Over, you'll know that I'm not one of the usual ones here, but I will say, and I don't talk about this a ton, I actually did grow up a Canucks fan, and so this is really exciting for me to get to break this down. Not this game, because but I've been living in Calgary for the last 10 years and covering the team here. So, Stockholm Syndrome and whatnot. I've kind of drifted over to the Flame side, but the Canucks, a first love for me. So excited to chat with Canucks fans this evening about whatever the hell that was tonight by both teams, really. And this is one of those ones where you want to come on here and you want to yell and scream about how frustrating it was and about how badly they played and they need to change this. I feel like if they played that way the rest of this series, this isn't going to be a very long series, and I think it is going to be in favor of Vancouver. Like, the Canucks absolutely dominated this game. Checking natural stat trick right now. It says final, so I'm assuming these are up to date. The shot attempts 64-21 in favor of Vancouver, including 37-4 in the third period. Scoring chances for in the third period were Canucks 20, Nashville Predators 2. High danger chances 10-0 in favor of the Canucks in the third period. Expected goals for 72% for the Vancouver Canucks to the 29% of the Nashville Predators. You do all of that, and you're going to win most games, right? Like that's just how it works. So you are not going to have those sorts of struggles on a nightly basis. I thought the Canucks absolutely controlled a whole lot of this game. And look, credit the Predators for getting in the way a whole lot. I do want to caution that just because you're defending a lot doesn't mean you're defending well. And I feel like that was the spot that the Preds were in for this one. We're seeing Vol Bill 99 in there is a Preds fan, and so I don't want to, rain on the parade too much for Preds fans who are in here, but come on. That like if you were watching that one and scoring it as a fight like they do in boxing, it's at 2-1 probably for the Canucks at least. Like this was a game that was controlled by Vancouver, and they just couldn't capitalize on what opportunities that they had. And the real problem, I think, for this one started at the top for the Canucks, and it was the play of Elias Pettersson. There was something up with that cat in this game because he was just off all night. And for all the praise I just gave the Canucks for how well I thought they played, it felt like Vancouver was just that much off all game. There'd be a pass across and a tip would just miss the net. And a pass gets to a guy and he might be open, but it hits the heel of his stick and goes away. Like, they're not missing by a ton. They're just missing just enough. But that's all you need. And there is a little bit of credit to the Predators in there, where they're getting sticks in the passing lane and they're getting the bodies in front of everything. And so credit to them for doing that. But I do think that this really came down to the the play of Elias Pettersson. If the Canucks' best player looked like their best player in this game, then I think they win this one going away. But he really was off. He misses that wide open net at the side of the goal in the dying moments of the first period, and even in the early moments of the first period, you could just sense a frustration with him early on. Like nothing had really gone dramatically wrong yet. And he seemed like he was and rolling his eyes and just frustrated. Like there was I was gonna say angst. There wasn't really an angst to him. There was already a bit of a feeling that it's an uphill climb from his game, and nothing had really happened. And so that was not a great sign. And I do think it was kind of indicative on how this game went for him and the frustrations that he had, because there were opportunities for him, but you could see as the game went on, you could watch him think out there. And that's not the player that he is. He is one of the more talented players in the National Hockey League with such, a wide-ranging skill set, and it just seems to come instinctually to him. So it was weird to watch him kind of go through the process, and even out here in Calgary could hear the gears churning from here on how he was going to work around this. And it seemed like what Nashville was doing to defend him got in his head, and that's something that needs to change for this Canucks team. He is like, I do think Vancouver has built a very strong, deep team around him, but they need that guy to be the straw that is stirring the drink, and he needs to be as sharp can be going forward here for Vancouver. And we'll talk in a little bit. Obviously, there was news today that was not overly encouraging for Vancouver fans, and that is all the more reason why this cat needs to step up going forward. And another way that it kind of shows itself, I think, is the ineffectiveness of the power play. And again, you don't want to harp on it too much, because I thought they had real good control and real good pressure. Like if this was NHL 24, that stupid little under pressure meter in the middle of the ice, it would have burned a hole in your television, because the Canucks had them under pressure, or the old Jim Houston under siege most of the game. It's just, again, when it came time to getting that puck thing to the net place, it hit something and it didn't go through. Even, I had a chuckle, even the huge shot in the third period that finally ended up getting to the goal hit a skate first, and it was going to be going wide, and it hit a skate and deflected onto the goal, and what was cleared away after that. It was one of those games where it wasn't going the Canucks way early, and it did seem to get to them a little bit. And I know, just from different previews and stuff like that, one of the concerns about Vancouver here is, aside from the bubble and all of that, there hasn't been a lot of playoff hockey for this particular group. And so how do you handle it when the Predators are blocking 37 shots and you're down 2 goals and you have your backup goalie in net? How do you respond? And it wasn't perfect from Vancouver. Again, they controlled a whole lot of it, and I think if you put this out there on the ice again, coming up Friday, in Nashville, you're going to be fine. But the power play, again, everything was just a little bit off. One-timer passes, just a bit off. Here's a chance, fires it wide, and it ends up getting cleared out. Besser with a look, misses the net, deflects up, and it's out of play. So not only do you not get the shot on goal, but you don't get to continue that pressure. Don't get to continue that pressure on the opposition. And so that, again, it was just a night where everything was a little bit off. And I do think, again, there does need to be a bit of praise given to Nashville, because defensively they set it up in that way where every stick was in a passing lane. There was a body in the way all the time, and it ended up getting in Vancouver's head. And you could see they were trying to make the perfect shot. Instead of just getting pucks to the net, it was, well, let's see if I can fit just like this puck into this puck hole size right there. And oh, nope, it's wide of the net, and off it goes. And so I do think that was in Vancouver's head a little bit. And in the early part of the game, while Pettersson was really struggling, I thought this was one where you kind of needed JT Miller to step up a little bit. And now, to his credit, in the third period, he did. It felt like about 25 of those shot attempts, in that of the 32 or 37 that I said from the third period, were with him and Besser out on the ice. So I do think Miller stepped up there a little bit. One player who I was looking to step up from a Vancouver perspective was Elias Lindholm. And now part of that is my familiarity, again, being the Game Over Calgary guy. I thought this was a player who should have had a bigger impact on this game, because all we heard out here in Calgary all season long was how Elias Lindholm was looking for $9 million. Well, those right there, that game that we just watched, that's the type of a game a $9 million player steps up in. And he spent exactly 0 seconds of that game looking like a $9 million player. And while I liked the play of Joshua and Garland out there, Lindholm was just kind of part of the furniture. And I know he is supposed to do the intangible things that you don't really notice out there. Well, it's the playoffs. I'd like to freaking notice you a little bit. And I didn't. And so in a game where your top guy doesn't really have it, your next top guy kind of has it, but every time he really has it, his stick somehow explodes. This was a game where Lindholm had an opportunity to, I think, legitimately add millions of dollars to his contract in the offseason. And he didn't really come through for Vancouver in this game. But as Mr. Wilkins says in the chat, really nothing was working from a Vancouver perspective. Aside from shot attempts were working just fine in this one from a Vancouver standpoint. But overall, and we'll get into adjustments to make a little bit later on. Overall, I don't know if there's a whole lot that you really want to completely shake things up with, because you do come away with this one with the majority of the puck and with a lot of the possession, with all of the scoring chances in the third period, and it just wasn't happening for you. There are adjustments to be made for sure, but I do think that you need to caution against overreacting when it comes to things from a Vancouver perspective. Love chatting with all of you guys. Make sure if you're watching this video and you like what we're doing, literally like the video, give us a thumbs up there and subscribe to the channel as we're starting to regrow this thing here on Game Over. You're watching this on the Game Over Network when we get going again in the fall. All of these will be off on their own channel, which includes Vancouver as well as some of our friends out east.
Game Over Ottawa is relaunching in October. So for all of your Ottawa Senators action, reaction, news, analysis, and fun, make sure that you click on the Game Over Network channel right now, open a new tab in this video, scroll past my ugly mug, and click on the Game Over Ottawa channel. Subscribe, and then hit that drop-down menu. Make sure you hit the alarm bell so that you get notified whenever we post a video or go live. Tell all your Sens fans, friends, and family to check out our awesome community, and make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion.
So again, all the Game Over regional channels, subscribe to them now. And that's where we'll be when everything gets back up and running in the fall. But for the length of the postseason, all this stuff is going to be here on the Game Over Network. Mr. Wilkins with another one. Exactly. Don't overreact from the Demko news, and don't overreact to the loss. That was the news of the day, is Thatcher Demko was out for this game, and everyone but the Canucks are saying that he is out for the series. Vancouver is going to say day to day, and they would do that if his leg literally fell off. So we're not going to get a ton of transparency from the organization at this point. And in terms of the reporting, who knows, right? It is one of those things where you just take it day by day, right? But it is kind of heartbreaking news when you look at how well this season has gone from a Vancouver standpoint. And in the immediate, it is now, not the most comforting when you look at how that game went from a goaltending standpoint. But I do want to look bigger picture first, because I do think that this is now where Rick Tocchet has a chance to shine a little bit. And it's setting up now for... It's setting up for what he was looking at throughout the season. And I know I'm kind of struggling to find my words right now, but trust me, it'll make sense in a second. This season, I think for Rick Tocchet and for the Canucks was all about establishing an identity for this team and establishing those systems that he wanted to put in place. When he was hired for this job, my initial thought was, well, that's boring as hell. And I think this is going to turn this Canucks team into a bit of a struggle to watch. And I now look at it as he was a perfect fit for this team. He has allowed the star players to go out there and kind of create, but they've also created the system. And now this is where you need to fall back on this system. The series is tied at 1. This last game doesn't go your way. You're going into Smashville. They're going to be chanting about how much your goalie sucks, and it's going to be insane, and all of this is going to be wild, and it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. What do you fall back on? And that is the identity that Rick Tocchet has been trying to instill in this team all season long. So I do think that this is a Vancouver team that, even with Casey DeSmith between the pipes, can go out there and win this series over Nashville. I just think there is a significant enough talent edge from the Canucks side that they should be able to go out and do this. Now, if Demko is out beyond this series, not to look ahead too far, but let's say, just for hypothetical purposes, that the Canucks do get through this series against the Predators, odds are they will be facing the Edmonton Oilers in the second round. And while I do like the team that has been constructed, I also do not believe that the Canucks would have a snowball's chance in hell of beating Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers with Casey DeSmith between the pipes. So I'm not saying, you know what, just give Demko the series off and bring him back in against Edmonton in that next one, and everything will be fine. But I do think that he needs to be ready for that series. Again, you have to get there, but they can win this series without him, and that's about as far as it goes. And tonight, I don't think instilled a whole lot of confidence in anyone. Kaya May, the one of the regular hosts here of Game Over Vancouver, was called into work and but still messaged in, checking in from work to say that I've seen better performances from beer league goalies, and then also commenting on the jersey on the back. We'll get to that when we do the presser a little bit later on. But yeah, no, it wasn't a performance that was overly inspiring. He faced like 3 shots, and I don't feel like the goals were his fault. It's weird. Like, he makes 11 saves and only allows the 3 goals. And I'm more concerned about the saves than I am the goals. Because the goals were all weird, right? It was a long deflection that goes in on a weird way. And then there's a turnover at the blue line, and he makes the initial save. Maybe you like a bit better rebound control on that, but either way, he makes the initial save, and then the rebound goes in. And then Philip Forsberg is all alone point blank. There are buildings that wouldn't be able to stop Philip Forsberg alone point blank. So there isn't a whole lot that I think that you can necessarily get a little bit, like, from a looking at those goals. I don't think you can come away from this one being like, okay, well, Casey DeSmith is cooked. But dude looked shook after the first goal. Every save he was making, it was either reaching back behind him to make sure it wasn't squeaking through, or the dreaded goalie look behind to make sure the puck wasn't going through. He looked like he had about 0% confidence in himself in that game. And I don't know if that was just pregame jitters. We knew fairly early on, and I would imagine, like, he knew before we knew, that he was going to be the starter. So it's not like he was just thrown in there and just, what am I doing? He had all day to prepare for this one, and he looked shook. And that was really concerning to me. So while maybe it is just a bit of projecting some of the insecurities and concerns that the fan base have on him, it did feel like he didn't have it in this game. And it ended up like... they end up losing, but it's not like he was tested a whole lot. He does come up with a couple of big saves. There was a chance Forsberg walked in alone and he made a stop, and there was a couple of point shots that make a couple of saves. But like overall, it was the way he was making those saves and his reaction to everything that gave me the concern going forward for him. Not just like for the next game, but for the series in general. Arcade Link messaging in, Demko might have stopped Forsberg, but that was an amazing goal. I don't think Demko would have won this game for us, though. You can't win by scoring only 1 goal. The Nashville Predators would have tried like hell to. They just ended up having a couple others bounce their way. But that is a fair point. Like, all of those goals that were scored tonight, probably go in on Demko as well. Like you said, maybe the Forsberg one, but still, that is a guy who scored 48 goals and hit 13 posts this season, just all alone on you, point blank. And there isn't a whole lot you can do on that one. But the deflection, that one's beating everyone. And then a turnover at the blue line, and then it ends up in a rebound goal. That's just them's the breaks. And sometimes they go your way, and on this night for the Canucks, they didn't. The other lineup change from this one was Noah Juleson stepping into the lineup in place of Tyler Myers. And while I am not the leader of the Tyler Myers fan club, Noah Juleson did not seem like an appropriate replacement, as he came up with a big hit, so that's awesome. But he got walked by Forsberg and just outworked in the corner. That led to the here is the 48 goal scorer all alone on our backup goalie goal. And he also took a couple of penalties that they weren't momentum killers or anything like that, but again, didn't help. And so that is probably not a move that I would make going into the next game. But overall, like I said, I thought the team played pretty well. I did think, I tweeted it out before, and I don't have anywhere else to put it in the show, so I want to talk about it now. Again, coming from covering the Flames all season long, I am familiar with the hockey stylings of Nikita Zadorov. And he is, and I mean this genuinely in the nicest way possible, he is the type of irrational confidence guy you would need to win in the playoffs. Like, if you have a first intermission where Rick Tocchet is going to the guys and being like, you know what, guys, our best players need to step up. Zadorov would have been the one to go first and be like, you know what, coach, you're right. I need to be better here. It's like, you know what, you're rolling. Just go with it. Go, like Animal House, like, shut up, he's rolling. Like, that's the type of guy he is. Like, he will make a few plays where you start looking like, who is our ECHL affiliate? But he'll have some games where he's like, hop on, boys, the Z train's rolling. And it felt like this one where he's just looking around like, okay, Pettersson's out, or Pettersson's not playing well. Miller's having a bit of a shaky game. Hughes it just hasn't really clicked. You know what? Time for Big Daddy Zaddy to come in and light the lamp. That is the type of player that you need. When things are going sideways, you need someone who scored 6 by God goals this year to step up and be like, no. I'm going to be the one to get a shot through and beat one of the best goalies in the world. We should all be as confident as Nikita Zadorov. But a lot of the Canucks should have been as well. Like, I do think it is a little oversimplistic to just say that the Canucks lacked some confidence tonight. But the Canucks, I think, very obviously lacked a bit of confidence this evening, and that ends up coming back to bite them in this one. They just were not sure of themselves, and when you get into that, you try to be too perfect, and when you try to be too perfect, you end up missing everything. So that is kind of what happened, I think, for the Canucks today. We are going to be taking your guys' messages in the chat here in a little bit. Get those ready for the presser here. We are also going to look ahead at what is next for Game 3, what adjustments could be made going forward. But first, a word from me with a different colored background. Game Over Calgary is relaunching in October. For all your Game Over Calgary content, make sure you subscribe to our Calgary-specific YouTube channel. Open the Game Over Network YouTube page in a new tab from this video, scroll past Andrew talking, and click on the Game Over Calgary channel in our featured channel section. Click subscribe and make sure you hit the drop-down menu to get notified when we post videos or go live. Tell all your Flames fan friends and family to check it out and join our awesome community. And make sure you smash the like button on this video right into oblivion. I would just like to point out, over the last 2 days, I have displayed the Oil Drop Oilers jersey, Blasty, and the Flying V jersey. So if there's ever any question about my fashion sense, let all of that be put to rest. But this is one of those games where you just kind of have to, we're getting back to the analysis now. This is one of those games from a Canuck perspective, you kind of just got to burn the tape and move on, which might be, again, you probably learn a little bit from this game. But I think overall, you have to look at this game from a Vancouver standpoint and think they played well. Arcade Link messaging here. Update, shot attempts were 84-36 for Vancouver, which is lots to barely any from a Canucks standpoint. That's an absurd number from Vancouver. And when you play like that, you should win hockey games. And you can say score effects or whatever. This game felt like it was in the Canucks' control, even at just 1-0. I thought they responded really well. Right before the 2-0 goal, Miller gets the deflection on net, or maybe it was the 3-0 one. Either way, the Canucks, they were playing quite well. And then turnover, goal, Forsberg goal, and all of a sudden it's an uphill climb. I still think Vancouver plays like that, they are going to be successful. Now, could you make some adjustments for this next game? Absolutely, I think you could. Noah Juleson for me would sit, and with all due respect, almost anyone else in the organization who plays defense would go in ahead of him. Like, I thought he was quite bad in this game, and I think that he should be subbed out very, very quickly. Another one that I would give a bit of a look to would be kind of reuniting the Lotto line. I know they do that coming off of penalty kills to get things going again. I wonder if you just get that thing going in general, get Pettersson back on track. And like, you can juggle some things around otherwise, but I think the most important thing for Vancouver right now is getting Elias Pettersson back on track. And that is a line that has had some success before and had some chances in this one as well. So I don't mind kind of loading that thing up like the NHL 2004 hero line that it is, and trying to go from there. I also, like, I was rather hard on Elias Lindholm. I wouldn't mind if you shifted Lindholm to somewhere else, and like maybe you put him with Mikheyev and Höglander, and you move Bluger back with Garland and Joshua, because I thought, like, Bluger and Joshua, along with Garland, that was kind of the line this season. I'm telling you guys this, you know this. They were together for a lot of the year, and they were a line that provided a lot of spark for Vancouver. And I thought Joshua has been really good for these couple of games. Garland has been right there as well. And again, I don't think Lindholm has done a whole lot. So I wonder if there's just a couple of adjustments you could make to kind of go back to some familiar surroundings for a couple of these guys, to try to allow that familiarity to get this thing rolling. And if it's not working, like, just go back to this. Like, I worked in game 1, and it got you, like Arcade says in the chat there, 84 goddamn shots. So it can't be that bad. But I would maybe tinker with a couple of things there from a Vancouver standpoint to really try to get this thing back on track, and just try to get the confidence back on track from Vancouver. For the Nashville Predators, I would humbly suggest shooting more might help them out, for one, and defending less might be another way to go about it. It reminds me, and again, I know I'm referencing Calgary stuff a bit too much on a Vancouver thing, and I apologize, but in Calgary, when we had the great Chris Russell debates in the 2010s, there was a great line from a guy out here, really smart hockey guy, Kent Wilson, who said, blocking shots is like killing rats. It is great that you do, like, doing so is better than not, but eventually you have to figure out why you're doing it so much. And so Nashville might want the puck a little bit more in game 3 is all I'm saying coming out of that. But I think when you look ahead to the next game, you're going to need DeSmith to settle in significantly quicker than he did in game 1. And I do think that getting Pettersson on track is probably the right thing to do from a Vancouver standpoint. But again, you don't want to overreact. You don't want to change too much, because this was an extraordinarily dominant performance from Vancouver everywhere but the place it counts, and that is on the scoreboard. So basically what I'm saying is score more goals. Excellent analysis from your boy Peter Klein here. As mentioned before, like this video and make sure you subscribe to the channel, as the Game Over Network is going to be your home during the Stanley Cup playoffs for postgame, not just for the Canucks, but also for the Jets and the Oilers and the Maple Leafs. We have all of that covered for you here on the Game Over Network. And then this fall, everything branches out into its own regional channels.
Game Over Vancouver is broadcasting from the Game Over Network channel for the playoffs, but starting in October, the network launches for real, which means for all of your Vancouver Canucks content, you want to go check out the Game Over Vancouver channel. You can subscribe right now by opening up the Game Over Network channel from this video in a new tab, scroll down past my ugly mug, click on the Game Over Vancouver YouTube page, then click subscribe and click that reminder bell as well, so you don't miss when we post a video or go live. Tell all your Canucks fans, friends, and family to come join our awesome community. You really won't regret it. And for this video, make sure you smash that like button right into oblivion.
All right, it is now time for the presser here on Game Over Vancouver. So this is where you guys get to have your say. I've rambled on for over half an hour now, so it's probably time you guys get to chime in here. Send in your chats now, and we'll read them here. Mr. Wilkins saying, "So happy these are back." Completely agree. I missed doing these, and obviously doing the Game Over Calgary stuff when we said we were going to come back for the playoffs. It's like, well, that seems like I'm going to be sitting this out. So happy that I've been able to pop in over on Game Over Edmonton and now here on Game Over Vancouver. Like I said, Canucks were my first love as a hockey fan. And so it's been fun to be able to chat about this team with you guys tonight, even though the result wasn't as fun. Kaya May earlier asking, is that a Flying V? That is the Flying V jersey. I have always been an appreciator of disgusting jerseys. So... and look, like we can all agree, that's not the prettiest thing back there. I know that the blue lighting is kind of hiding it. I was tangent off of a tangent. I was wondering what type of lighting to put on that one tonight. Whether, like, do I match the jersey going with the orange, or do I match what the Canucks currently have with the blue? I've decided to go with the blue there. But that jersey was, I was doing a show live on location at a sporting goods store. I a long time worked for the sports radio station out here in Calgary, and we were doing a live show, and where I was facing, they had their jerseys on sale, and this bad boy was on sale at like 65% off. I was like, you know what? There is no way I'm not doing that. So had to, with my own hard-earned money, go out and buy that one, even though it was cheap. But I was just doing a 5-hour radio show, just staring at it like Wayne's World, looking at the guitar in the window. It will be mine. Oh yes, it will be mine. Mr. Wilkins chiming in. I love that V jersey. Thank you very much. I was at work and missed the Demko and Myers news. Any idea what's up with Myers? I thought it was just a scratch, but let me do a quick search here. Oh, Rick Tockett says Myers missed the game with the flu. Demko is considered week to week. So that is less optimistic than the day-to-day that we heard earlier on. So flu for Tyler Myers. I would imagine that he'll bounce back from that one and could be back in the lineup as soon as Friday. That is just speculation on my part, but that's also just my understanding of how the flu works, and I'm assuming that professional athletes get over that stuff a little bit quicker than my lazy ass would. So I would assume he'd be back for the matchup on Friday. Arcade, the Preds will be sore the next game. This play is unsustainable. I'm not too worried. I'm glad that even with the loss, the Canucks just absolutely dominated. Yeah, 100%. Like I said, the Preds didn't defend well in this game. They just defended a lot. And at some point, you kind of just want to, you know what? If you want to block it, and just keep firing away at shin pads and ankles and see what ends up getting through. Marty McFly 3333 says, do you think that they have a chance to take one in Smashville? I think they have a chance to take both. Like, I think Vancouver is quite superior to the Nashville Predators. And now look, games like this can happen. Do I think games like tonight happen 3 more times in this series? I do not. I do think that Vancouver is going to break through and end up winning this one. So yes, I think they could take one. I think they could take both out in Nashville. This does have a bit of a reminder of that series in 2011. Obviously, that one was the second round. You all know how the first round went. But I like that series. You have all of this high coming off of the win over Chicago, and everything is going great, and you come into this Nashville team, and the Canucks were so much better than Nashville there, but they absolutely wore Vancouver down, and I think ultimately led to the result that happened at the end. But Hamhuis wasn't the same after that series. Kessler wasn't the same after that series. He was incredible in that series, but he wasn't the same after that series. Not that Nashville is like taking a pound of flesh or anything in this one, but this is going to be a series that I do think Vancouver is going to have to work a little bit harder than the skill difference would suggest. That is Nashville Predators hockey. And it sounds like I'm being very dismissive of Nashville. I think Forsberg is criminally underrated, sorry. Gus Nyquist he's going to be one of those I can't quit you guys. He's going to be 45 and still inexplicably a free agent on the NHL video games, and I'm going to sign him. Like, he's a guy who I really, really like. It just falls off a little bit after that for me. And for Vancouver, it doesn't. Like, you can, when things are going, you can roll 3 to 4 lines really confidently, and you just can't do that from a Nashville standpoint. So I do think eventually this will break through for Vancouver. Mr. Wilkins and Arcade Link not taking overly positively to the news about Thatcher Demko, week to week, ouch, and oh, phew. Which I don't think he missed the N at the end of that one. I think it was probably a couple of letters that were to follow that. So not great. And yeah, that is less, like I said, it's less optimistic than we heard before from the team. From all of the reports around, it did kind of sound like that we had seen the last of Thatcher Demko in this series. Now, week to week does lead you to believe that if they get past this one, and to Marty McFly's point, if the Oilers get by the Kings, we shouldn't count out the Kings, although you watched that game last night, you can kind of count out the Kings. But they are going to need Demko if they get beyond this series. Because whether it is a red-hot LA Kings team or the best player on planet Earth, you're going to want your number one goalie in there, especially after what we saw from DeSmith tonight. So, week to week doesn't leave a whole lot of wiggle room for that. It needs to be just kind of weak. Nothing after to make you feel a whole lot better there. So we'll see what happens with that situation. But maybe DeSmith just gets this one out of his system. Now, okay, I've faced 14 shots in a playoff game. I'm now all right. I'm back in the swing of things, and now it's time to turn into that goalie who played most of a really long game before being subbed in for Louis Domingue. Arcade Link, the Canucks also seem to have this sort of pressureless composure on the road, I think. Playoffs are totally different, but being on the road is not usually a concern for the Canucks. Yeah, going into Smashville is absolutely a little bit different than a regular season game on a Tuesday against Columbus, but to your point, this is... You're going to have to face these types of challenges, right? It's not going to be an easy path to the postseason. But the Canucks this year, 23-14-4 on the road. Nashville, 23-16-2 on home ice. Playoffs are a different animal, for sure. But this Vancouver team, I do think has what it takes. And it's like we said before, Rick Tocchet has really established this sort of a mentality with this team that they can bounce back from this one and kind of fall back on that. We'll just see how they do it. And as Mr. Wilkins says there, DeSmith has a few days to get his marbles in order. All right, that's going to do it for the stream today. One more time, make sure you like this video, share it with all the Canucks fans in your life, friends, family, co-workers, the guy down the street, whatever. Let them know Game Over is back. Kaya May is going to be back for the next game, which is Friday. So a couple of days to just sit with this one a little bit, and a couple of days for the Predators to get ice packs on various appendages that they blocked shots with in this game. So Friday, Kaya is going to be back. But again, throughout the entirety of the Stanley Cup playoffs, all the Canadian teams, we are going to have Game Overs for them right here on the Game Over Network. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you guys for letting me be a part of your Canucks post-game coverage this evening. I know it wasn't the most fun game to break down, but I had a blast chatting with you guys. If you like me, I am at Primetime Klein on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok. Thank you guys so much, and hopefully I'll get to talk to you guys again soon. I'm out. Have a good night, everybody.
Game